States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Recognitions of gifts, donations, and community service to the city. Anybody have anything? No. We have a resolution, Dave. You want to hang on a second here?
Sure.
We have resolution number 14964, accepting a property donation rescue equipment. Go ahead, Mr. Larson.
Okay, well, a couple weeks ago was...
Name, please.
My name is David Larson. I own and operate Dave Larson Financial and Insurance on Main Street.
Who do you have with you?
I have our chief, Mike. Anyway, I was asked by Nationwide to become a part of this bin safety week. And so it took a whole year's process for us to go through voting and to make a donation and then receive enough votes. Our customer base called in and made votes for us, and so that we could have this. And this is a safety thing that you can go into a bin. Let's say a farmer's trapped in a bin, and we can go in and save them, and we can use this. In my career in Hutchinson, I've been here for 30 years, we've lost a couple farmers in bin accidents, and I do business with their sons. And I thought this was a great idea to try to get this, and then when we did, and then a couple weeks ago we had training, and go ahead and talk about that, Mike.
Yeah, so what I'm holding in front of me is just one of the panels. There's this 6-panel system that kind of encapsulates the victim, and then we evacuate the corn out or grain, whatever it happens to be. But September 24th, I think it was.
Yeah.
So part of this whole process is the equipment, and then also it comes with a trainer that comes with a trailer and all the rigging. And so we had a 4-hour training session for all of our staff, some individuals from the elevator, and some other fire departments as well.
Those look a lot handier than the old backboards we used to use.
Back in the day, it was pieces of plywood or backboards.
Am I dating myself here?
So what all can I ask, and thank you, you know?
We donated $5,000 to try to get this. $2,500 went for the actual tube of life, and then $2,500 was for the training. And well, it's something. There's 72 of them in the United States, and for us to have it, and all of our local fire departments can get at it. I think it's a great thing for our farm community,
Sure.
and I feel good about it.
Do we have pumps to evacuate out?
It's got a little
work?
auger system that runs off a
Okay.
cordless drill that we also have. So
Okay.
we have
And
100%
then
of
rigging to help pull somebody out, rigging, you know, set up?
That's a standard system that we have for just our normal rescue stuff. So yes, we have all the rigging and ropes, and
Yeah.
we've had that for quite some time.
So Mike, our firefighters are the only ones who had this training? Was anybody else involved
Well,
with
there
it?
was
Like
a-
Silver Lake? I mean, you know,
So the night that we had the training, there was a
Right.
couple of individuals from the elevator, the co-op elevator, and then there was also
Lester Perry,
and Plato, I thought it was,
Plato.
at the training that night. So
you'd respond anywhere in the county with this, or probably into
if it was
Renville
requested,
or-
absolutely, yes.
Thanks so much.
yes.
Yeah, we're happy to help and do it.
It's amazing that I know I talked to Jason Sturgis, that was one of the victims.
He was
And,
the one in the newspaper that you could only see the top of his helmet.
well, you only can see the top of his helmet most of the time. But, no, it's amazing how it only takes a little bit of grain that you can't move. Just,
I've heard it back from several of our firemen that this was a really good training, and
It's
it
very
was
good.
very good. So,
Yep.
very happy.
All right. Thanks, Dave.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Public comment?
Well, we should actually have a formal
Yeah, I
resolution
suppose
to
we should, huh?
accept that.
Somebody make a motion to accept the donation?
I'll make that a motion.
Second?
Motion by Chad, second by Steve to accept. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Thanks, Matt. Public comment, if anybody wants to address the council, please come forward, state your name and address. All right. Approval of minutes, we have the regular meeting minutes of October 9th, 2018.
I'll make a motion to approve them.
I'll second.
Motion by Chad, second by Mary to approve the meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Consent agenda, this is done with one motion unless a member pulls something off for discussion. A, approval of small business Saturday event on November 24th, 2018. B is approval of invocation schedule. C is approval of the 2019 preliminary proposal to Small City Development Program, SCDP, resolution number 14960, resolution for certificate of special assessment from the city of Hutchinson to the McLeod County Auditor. E is resolution number 14962, resolution approving conditional use permit for dog daycare boarding facility at 518 Highway 7 East with favorable planning commission recommendation. F is resolution number 14963, resolution approval of conditional use permit for a cellular tower located at 1470 South Grade Road Southwest with favorable planning commission recommendation. G is approval of out-of-state travel for Kent Exner to attend National Transportation Research Board Conference in Washington, D.C. from January 13th through the 17th, 2019. H is claims appropriations and contract payments. Anybody have anything they need pulled off?
A and B, please?
B, you said, Steve?
A and B.
A and B, okay. Anything else?
Make a motion to approve the balance.
Second?
Motion by Chad, second by John to approve the balance. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Steve, A.
I was just, Matt sent out a memo on the request, to call the chamber event a community festival, and then to be able to provide some alcohol services within, that program. I guess I was in agreement with his concerns on the memo and started looking at, is there another way to do this? And the idea I had was, what if the chamber actually moved their event on the east side of Highway 15 on Washington, closed that first block down, and utilize some of Library Square as part of the event. Then it could be considered a social activity, and within the ordinance, liquor sales could be provided for within Library Square. And checked with Matt, he said that was okay. Matt checked with Chief Hatton, and the chief was okay with closing off the street for those 2 hours from 10 to 2, or 10 to noon. And then I checked with Mary at the chamber, and she was perfectly fine with it too. They're having their board retreat tonight, this afternoon and tonight, so she wasn't able to be here, but she said she's perfectly fine with that. So I guess with that in mind, I would I'd like to make a motion to adjust the request on their behalf.
So just to clarify, Steve, they would still be closing off Washington Avenue from Main Street to the alley?
No,
no.
on the east side of Main Street, that first block.
Okay, by
In
the
front of the
State
State Theater. Yep, and they
From
would.
10 until noon.
Yep, and they would utilize the north half of Library Square.
Mhm.
And it would be considered a social activity within the ordinance.
And just a little bit to get into the nuances of our ordinance, Library Square has been classified within our ordinance as a cultural facility, which allows alcohol to be served. Obviously, my concern with doing it on the street or on the sidewalk is outside of calling it a community festival, there is no allowance for something like that to take place within our ordinance.
And in light of our recent public hearing. So I think that it's prudent. I'd second Steve's motion.
So do we need, Melissa?
Yeah, I think they're,
Think that-
So it was two things to be able to close off the block of Washington Avenue, the first block east of Main Street to Hassan, and then also to utilize the north half of Library Square. Is there anything else that would need to be included in that?
I think
Does-
that's, you had said making it in the recommendation on behalf of the chamber. I would just simply note you approve their request with that,
Yeah.
basically with that change.
Okay. Make that motion, and then as far as the liquor sales, anything else? that
They'll
needs
have
be
to, we have a social fair license or application that they'll have to fill out, which they're aware of, and you guys can approve that at presumably approve it at your next council meeting.
Okay.
So,
And that's the same license that they used for music in the park.
yeah, music in the park, arts and crafts.
So, make that a motion then.
So I'll reiterate my second to that motion.
Motion by Steve, second by John. Approve that
With the
with the
changes noted.
changes. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. B,
Yep, Matt sent out a note today that Riverside had actually sent him an email saying that they
They
would
called, so.
call, saying that they'd be willing to offer the invocation. As it is right now, through the policy that's allowed or extended to churches within the city as the first go-around, first come, first serve. But then there's opportunities for the council to invite others to fill in the openings. We have some openings, so I'd make a motion that we allow Matt to work with the church and fill a couple of those openings.
Well, and secondly, I'd say the Church of the Latter-day Saints also expressed interest.
Yep, and I had sent them a request to, and I haven't heard back from them yet, so there is a possibility that they
That
may
4
come in.
spots could be filled.
Yeah, there's a possibility, correct. So,
Right now, it's just for the two
Yeah.
through Riverside.
we had another one too, or was that?
no, just those two have
Those two
expressed
Latter-day
interest. Yeah.
Saints.
So you made that a motion?
For Riverside,
To include in the schedule, I'm assuming?
Yep.
yes, to work with them, to have Matt work with them.
Riverside.
Yes, Riverside Assembly.
I will second that.
Motion by Steve, second by Mary to invite Riverside for invocation, to the invocation schedule. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
Just to note that Riverside was actually a member of the Hutchinson Ecumenical Ministerial Society and had given invocations in the past as well.
All right. We don't have a public hearing. Hutchinson Public Library Annual Update. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I actually had a graph in your packets, but I'm going to hand out a new graph, if that's okay.
You gotta tell us who you are.
Oh, I am Katie, I didn't think of that. I'm the librarian. No, I'm Katie Heltner. I'm the head librarian for the Hutchinson Public Library. I always forget to introduce.
Thank you.
Okay, so you will be getting a revised graph, which I want to do a shout out to the Hutchinson Library Board last night for running through this with me, and Jack Sandberg and Mary and others for helping me out with this. Just wanted to do my annual update. It's been another busy year at the library. We've got lots of loyal patrons coming through the door and lots of new patrons too. Last year when I came before the council, you had asked me to put together a 5-year overview of the library. So I went ahead and pulled together figures from 2013 to 2017, and these figures are based on information that we gather every year for the Minnesota Department of Education's annual report. As you know, numbers can tell a story depending on the storyteller, so I tried to pick out actual hard facts. You know, you can do library visits, that's based on sampling that we do twice a year. So the numbers I picked for you are actual, more hard facts, as I like to call them. The first item on the graph is registered users, and as you can see, the Hutchinson Public Library continues to see a steady growth, which we're really happy to see. That is a combination of both registered users and then people that come through our community as reciprocal borrowers. That means they might be coming through Hutchinson, they live in another city but work here and want to be able to check out materials. So that's a whole combination of our registered users. The second graph is the library circulations, and as you can see that there is a kind of a slight slow, steady decline. As a librarian, you're like, no, you don't want to see that, but it's actually a nationwide occurrence that libraries as a whole are seeing a drop in circulations, but as I've talked with Mary last night during the library board meeting, it's actually a reflection on the fact that libraries are more than just places to check out books. People come now for computers, they come for programs, they come for all kinds of different reasons. That number does not reflect ebook circulations. And as you know, people are checking out ebooks pretty rapidly. That still hasn't gone away. It's not replacing print books. I'd like that for the record.
Why don't you include those, or?
It would be part of Pioneer Land. It wouldn't be a breakdown for our
Gotcha.
particular library. We have a collection for Pioneer Land library system.
And are they
so.
physically checking out the ebooks, or are they downloading them on
They
their?
download them.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's-
Yeah, they
that's what we
download.
used, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's an example of the circulations. I am happy to say, though, that when I compare where we are at right now for 2018 compared to 2017, I looked at the August figures. Of August 2017, our circs were at 63,708, and as of this year, August, we're at 67,168. So I'm seeing an increase again, which is good. And as you know, Sherry, Rochelle, and I, all librarians, are always working hard to find materials that people want and check out. And I put a note in here that book budgets are always tight, but we're thankful for all the community members, the city for funding us, and all the donations that make it possible. So, the third item on your graph is computer sessions for the library. As you know, I think I mentioned this last year, people line up before the door opens to get in and have their access to the computer. People come in weekly, people come in daily. There is a slight decline, which surprised me, but I think if I were to credit it to something, it would be wireless. People no longer have to just come to the library to use our computers. They're bringing their own devices. So I think that gets calculated into that as well. And then the last chart I put together is program attendance. And you'll see that there was a drop in 2016, and I think that was a transition year, right about the time I came and we had other staff changes. But we're on the rise again, and in 2017, the library sponsored 102 programs with an attendance of 5,962. So it was actually fewer programs, but higher attendance. It's an average of 58 people per program. So I really feel like we're honing in on programs that people are excited to come to the library for. And since I get to stand before you, I get to do a shout out for Sherry and Rochelle. They're doing an excellent job for children, tweens, and teens. Sherry saw a record number of signups for the summer reading program. She had 537 youth. I was a little worried. She put in the paper that she wanted to go beyond 500, and I'm like, you put it in the paper, oh my goodness. But she did it. 537 was fantastic. And 222 of these children completed the 10-week program. And then Rochelle saw 46 teens sign up for her reading program, and 41 of these completed reading logs, which again is fantastic. We really have a strong group of young readers in our community, which is very promising. And library programming continues to be key. We're always looking for ways to bring people into the library. We're not only providing services such as literacy skills for children, safe and creative space for tweens and teens, we want to provide learning opportunities for all and have the library be a true community center. Just wanted to do another shout out for a few interesting programs we had this past summer. Sherry did a Read Down Your Fines program, so kids could come to the library and read down the fines that they had accumulated. And that was a very positive program. One of the programs that Rochelle just started recently is called 100 Books Before Graduation. You may remember that Sherry's working on the 1,000 Books Before Kindergarten. The goal is to get children up to, before they enter kindergarten age 5, to have them read 1,000 books to enhance their literacy. Well, now Rochelle's doing it for 9th through 12th graders to encourage them to read 100 books before graduation. Again, just encouraging that reading and literacy. We've got several partnerships at the library. Sherry's partnering with Darcy Cole for the 4-H. They're doing Fun with 4-H at the library, and that's a once-a-month program. They made slime last month. I kind of wanted to be there, but they said kids only. So they're going to do a program every month, and it's something different. They're keeping it a surprise. And then Sherry and I are also partnering with McLeod County Extension Master Gardeners. We're doing adult programs and children programs. So we're trying to tap into the different organizations around town and bring that all together. And another successful program that Rochelle has been doing is Coding Club, and that's for tweens and teens as well. Of course, we always have author programs at the library, and I'm trying to reach out into other areas of the community. We partnered with the Senior Center in September for a local author, a couple who originated from Brownton, and they came in and did an author talk, and I'm going to have another local author talk at the Senior Center again in November. And we've hosted local author programs at the museum. It's all as a way to reach different people, to get different people coming and interested in library programs. Let's see. One other thing I wanted to mention is that the library is making good use of the legacy funding that we receive, as Pioneer Land divides it out per county, and Jackie and I are working together. In February of this past year, we went to the Old Log Theater, took a bus of 50 plus people, and then this past Friday, we took a boat ride, riverboat ride up to Harriet Island. Well, we took a bus, and then we took the boat ride on Mississippi River, and that was really a neat opportunity. People who can't get out to do programs, so it was a great opportunity, free bus ride, free boat ride. Yeah, so that's kind of a fast and furious sum. You may have questions.
How was your book sale during the Arts and
Excellent.
Crafts?
It was very good. It was
It's
very good. Yeah, we I think it came out, I don't have the exact figure in front of me. I could look that up. We had a good sale, and then Mary Hankey always does a great job and gets us a Thrivent grant. And the Thrivent grant this year, that money is going to support teen books. So it not only do we get money from the book sale to support the library, then we get a grant on top of it. So thank you for asking.
Good.
Yeah.
And my understanding is Bailey Schlueter is applying for some grant money to get the roof fixed?
Yes. The grant application goes in Friday, and she's applying for 2 grants, one for the roof and one for our bathrooms, our public bathrooms, which are
And they're
much
both needed.
Both needed, yeah. So she's working with J.J. Verhey, and they're applying for those grants. Very excited for that opportunity.
She's a good grant writer.
Yeah, she's a very good grant writer.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You
Yeah.
mentioned the children, do you get many daycare, you know,
Yeah.
coming in? And then I wondered if it'd be helpful, there's opportunities. We used to have the mobile that went around. Would that be Is there a need for something like that?
That would be something to consider. I just went to the recent Library Association conference, and we were joking that we need a book motorcycle to ride around and deliver books. There's all kinds of different options of different outreach. Mhm.
You can get a bicycle.
Aha!
I have a bike that'll haul 200 pounds of gear on
Really?
the back end. So
Okay,
it's a lot of books.
I may check with you, Chad. There really are different, libraries are kind of on the move. We're not just a building anymore, so to be able to reach out to different, I
Well,
always listen, so this will go in my
Can it go through
head
snow?
and stew
Can
a
it go
little
through snow?
bit, so.
Nothing is more fun than pedaling that thing with 200 pounds in the back either. So
I would find a volunteer, I
snow.
think. Any other questions?
I had a question.
Yeah.
So, I have a mini library in my front yard, and the content's getting a little stale, I feel. Is there any way that you would maybe want to work with the people that have mini libraries to
Sure.
rotate stock? 'Cause,
Sure, yeah, I could talk with the Friends of the Library.
Perfect.
Yeah, that would be a great
And I don't know
project.
I don't check out the other mini libraries because I have one
Yeah.
right there, but
Yeah.
mine doesn't have a lot of kids' books in it, and I think it'd
Okay.
be better, a lot of kids will check it out, but then there's not a lot of content for them.
Yeah.
So that might be something to think
Oh,
about.
that's a great idea. I'll bring that to
Because there's a lot of
them.
those little libraries in town now.
Yeah, we've got
and
one
it's-
right next door. Our neighbor has it, and the kids are always stopping with their bikes and
Yep.
checking what's in there, so.
Yep, and I get a little
yeah.
alert for my miniature pincher every time somebody checks mine out. So,
Well, good, yeah, that's a great, I can
What
definitely
kind
check
of
with the
books
friends.
does Benny like?
well, my son has his own bookshelf in our house, but
But yeah, that's a really good idea to rotate out, because we do, as you know,
Yep.
with all the donations that come in, we do have quite a
Sure, and
quite a
people do drop
variety.
off books, but they're usually odd in content,
War and Peace and the Decline and Fall of the Roman
Yeah,
Empire.
it's just a lot
Short
of,
ones
Yeah.
like
And the
that.
rest are all just on bikes.
yeah. There's a lot of awkward content in my library from time to time, so like, it'd be nice
Yeah.
if there's just some kids' books and
Yeah,
stuff. 'cause-
I'll talk with them about
Sure,
that.
that'd
That's
be
a
awesome.
great
Just
idea.
let me know.
Okay, yeah, I will, absolutely, great.
I
Okay.
also just
Yeah.
wanted to do a little shout out to the Friends of the Library. That
Yes.
helps so
Oh,
much.
they're incredible. They're incredible. I remember the first year I presented to you, I tried to come up with a list of everybody, and then I felt bad because I felt like I forgot people. But the Friends are absolutely top of the list. Well, actually, City Council first, and then the Friends. But there's so many people that make, and I always feel like a broken record, but there's so many people that make the library a success and make the library possible and do contributions, big or small. It's amazing. And really, a strong library is representative of a strong community, and we have a strong library. So it's thanks to the city and all the work you do, it reflects back. So that was my thank you. My annual thank you. I say thank you throughout the year. Mary hears me, but this is my chance to say thank you in person, so. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Discussion on requests from Gopher Campfire Sanctuary Board.
Yeah, Mayor and Council back in late September, actually Mayor Garcia received a letter from the Gopher Campfire Sanctuary Board seeking assistance and requesting a meeting between the city and the Wildlife Sanctuary Board. And so really the purpose for this discussion tonight is to seek direction from the council on how you would like us to respond to the Sanctuary Board. Obviously, the letter was addressed to the mayor, but the authority, it comes from the whole. And so that's, I guess, why the request is in front of you is, how would you like for us to, whether it's set up a meeting or, I guess, how would you, basically what I'm looking for from staff standpoint, how would you like for us to respond to that letter?
Could Mark clarify perhaps what our legal rights are as far as donating to the facility and doing anything there?
Well, it's awfully tough. We can't use public money to give to nonprofits or charities, no matter how noble their cause might be. Our duty is to the taxpayer and to use those for public facilities.
Unless they're stipulated in state law.
Yep, there are some exceptions, for example, to have a community festival or to have a city band or things like that. Recreation facilities, as you know. But there really isn't a lot of leeway unless there is one of those enumerated exceptions, and there just really isn't one. Matt and I did have an opportunity to take a look under what exceptions there might be for sanctuaries or zoos or animals or whatever, and there wasn't anything really that fit with this request.
So distinguish the sanctuary from the art center and the McLeod County Historical Society?
There's actually state statutes that directly state.
Art center and the historical society, which we discussed.
Cities can give
before.
money for that.
It's
Now,
county sanctioned historical society or recognized by the MHS.
No, I would say some of me, potentially the confusion that goes into this is that at one point or another, the city did participate. I can't honestly sit here and say we did that appropriately. That's obviously the big question. We did enter, there was one case where there was a mutual agreement, and some of that was for public benefit when we were looking at improvements for streets and storm sewer, and in cases like that, that was an agreed upon layout, with a document that was signed. And that was an exception that.
Helped with some of the drainage in that
Yes.
area.
Correct.
Do you know, Matt, where they're at, or Gary? I mean, have they tried any private fundraising? I know with the upgrades they did several years ago, and we did the road work and the driveway parking, they had a thermometer, whatever, there with the fundraising, that effort that they had, and just wondering again, it seems like that would be the best place to start for something like this too.
I kind of want to say that, the board themselves haven't been kind of keeping up with the maintenance of of it down there. There was a gentleman a few years back that passed away, and I know that was kind of his baby, and he took care of it pretty well. And now, I don't think that they have anybody that's really the guy that's taking care of it,
Yes. Steve, answer your question directly. Nothing's been communicated to us at this point. So.
Just for clarification, they own that land, correct?
Correct.
It's not a park. It
Correct.
is a privately owned chunk of land.
But they're a nonprofit, and so there are no property taxes paid on it.
Correct. So, well, I haven't looked up the
Yeah,
property
the-
tax statement, but I'm assuming they haven't.
If
so.
they're a nonprofit, could they be going for a grant? Could they be looking at
Legacy.
grants, or legacy money? I mean, there's got to be something out there. I guess it concerns me that I don't know enough about them. Like how many members do they have? What are their dues? What monies have been invested down there compared to what we've invested? How do they fundraise? I mean, I remember seeing the thermometer down there also. Those are all questions I would like answered.
Well, and that's part of the reason why this is in front of you tonight.
Right.
Is there a desire to meet with that board? Is there a desire to send 2 council members to go to a meeting to potentially answer some of those questions, or, keeping in mind the limits that we have when it comes to our financial contributions?
I would say that would be a waste of time if we can't give them any money anyway, in my opinion.
Well, maybe
That's
except
what I
to explain to, I see their funding mechanism being Ducks Unlimited or Pheasants Forever or something, and then legacy dollars, and having somebody that can write a grant
Right.
through legacy, and probably you might get a big push from Representative Erdahl on that. He's really good at pushing that kind of stuff through.
Well, there's kind of along with Mary's question, in the letter, it says the Gopher Campfire Sanctuary Board, so is that separate than the Gophers?
I believe not that long ago, they split the sanctuary board away from their
From the club?
regular club board. I don't know if the sanctuary is completely separate from the Gopher Campfire completely, but they do have separate boards, is my understanding.
I think I would love to see that continue. I had to look at the Sam Anderson write-up that we're going to have on the signage, by the mural, and that actually first got started in its present location. It was moved after the 1965 flood. so it's been there 50-some years already. But prior to that, it was down, shortly after Sam Anderson died, the group got together and built the sanctuary down by the old power plant. Remember that?
Mary, could you tell us about olden times?
Yes.
Art isn't here. and-
Well, I was gonna say that I don't ever remember it being any other place but where it's at, so.
Yeah, so, but anyway, it is part of our heritage, and I think it is a benefit to the community as a park, even though it's not a city park, but, if there's guidance or that we could offer, point them in the right direction, that type of a thing, would seem to be something that we could do.
I mean, I think that we, like Matt said, have, two of the council go and represent the council, just tell them what our position is,
I'm willing to go, but
Yeah.
again, like Chad, you wonder the benefit in the end, but at least it keeps the communication going, they understand, and
So obviously, we've got that letter, and I could easily just respond saying, what they're.
Find out when their meeting is.
Yeah, council is willing to send a couple council members to come and meet with you to talk about, the sanctuary and what the city can and can't do. So,
I'd be willing to go with Steve. Steve, you just want Matt to communicate that to Matt, or have Matt communicate with Skip?
I can do that. I can
Set up a
respond.
meeting?
You can respond to that letter.
You don't really need action on that, do
No,
we?
no.
All right. All right, myself and Steve will go and meet with them. Setting a public hearing to declare emerald ash borer a nuisance in the city of Hutchinson and review the emerald ash borer management plan.
Mayor and council, the packet information that I provided to you indicates that there was a verified infestation discovered in Wright County, which is a county that abuts us, and thankfully, the actual infestation is just short of 50 miles away from us, so very close to the same geographical distance that the infestation in Eden Prairie is. But obviously, Eden Prairie being in Hennepin County is not an abutting county. We did identify a verified infestation in an abutting county in our EAB management plan as a triggering event. What that would do is we would, and what the staff is requesting is that we hold a public hearing on November 27th, and at that meeting we would review the plan at that point. We would talk about some of our short and medium-term action plans that we have, and then also to declare that EAB a nuisance in the city. Under the Chapter 9202 Tree Diseases Ordinance, we'd identify it, and under the other shade tree diseases portion of the ordinance. So the information that I provided to you is hopefully gives you a little time to review one more time, and have any questions, we can direct those back to us. We can address them then on the 27th. So
Donovan indicated what he was really worried about was, I think Highway 15 isn't there emerald ash borer in Fairmont? That was the corridor he was worried about it coming up
yes,
from.
we've been watching that corridor, because if we see it start coming north on Highway 15, I think it'll get here faster than we want it to. So far, like I said, we're 50 miles away roughly. I think it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. It could happen anytime. So we need to be prepared, and we need to, and that's one of the triggering events that's gets us nervous enough that it's in a county abutting us. Thankfully, like we said, way in the northern tip of that county, but it is in an adjacent county, so. That's the request, just to set the public hearing for November 27th, at which time we'd talk about the plan and then also address the resolution that you saw in the packet. And again, if there's any issues or questions or concerns or topics that you would like raised at the meeting, we're open to those things, so.
I'll make that a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by John, second by Mary to set the public hearing. Any other discussion?
One thing that could help with that, Matt, if you could, on the CIP plan, the refuse fund has, starting in 2020, some of the compost bins start getting replaced. I think there's 5 a year. For 4 years, there's 20 altogether.
Correct.
It's 4 years. Maybe to get a better idea what that cost would be, and one idea I had was, what if we went 4 a year for 5 years instead of 5 for 4? That could free up maybe $40,000 that we could utilize to do some other prevention or proactive, work, since it's still a little ways away from us.
We can run some options and some scenarios.
Yeah,
so.
and we can have that as part of the discussion. 2 weeks?
Month.
Month.
Unless you want to have.
A month, yeah.
Unless you're looking
No,
for a discussion.
no, it's part of, it's part of the hearing. yeah.
Okay, very good, yeah, and have that conversation. So.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, John. Resolution number 14961, resolution accepting bids and awarding contracts for the South Central Drainage Area Improvements, Phase 1, letting number 5, project number 18-05.
All right, good evening. This resolution's for our pond project. I guess we affectionately call it South Central Drainage Area Improvements Phase 1. I won't pop anything up scope-wise unless you want to get into any detailed questions, but the scope really hasn't changed. It's basically the excavation of the pond within the Linden Park area that we've spoken about quite a bit. There's a little bit of pipe work that'll occur this fall, and then the majority of the non-excavation related construction will happen next spring. And we specified a completion date of Friday before Memorial Day weekend. So we're hoping weather cooperates and we can get everything seeded early next spring and put back together. With that, the bids, we received 7 bids. The low bid is from Jerpy Contracting of Hutchinson. It's just a hair over our estimate. Our final estimate was $675,000, and they came in at just over $697,000. The bid was responsive and correct, so we are recommending to award to Jerpy Contracting. And otherwise, schedule, they've communicated they'd like to get started pretty quick here. So what we're hearing is they get awarded tonight. Things might fall into motion pretty quickly in the next week or so. And yeah, if weather cooperates and we get some dry weather, things could come together and they'll get things excavated, and then basically we wait for spring. If, I guess they default to our interim completion dates, what we've specified is getting the topsoil stripped and stockpiled prior to Thanksgiving, and then basically getting the excavation work done prior to Christmas, I think the Friday before, the 21st.
So the pipe work, Kent, is just on Linden?
The pipe work is into Linden, so they might bring it up and out of the pond this fall. They're not gonna cut the roadway until next spring, to make the actual connection.
I see they removed the ball field.
Yep, and the Parks Department's been chipping away at taking down the backstops and stripping the egg line material there and hauling it away. So I believe that might be done. They were loading trucks earlier today and yeah, I think they were gonna pull posts out, so should be ready to go.
And the inlet is from the southeast side.
There is an inlet from the southeast corner and then there is one from the west edge also, coming in from Sunset. With that, we recommend, as stated in the resolution, to award Jerpy Contracting and go from there. And like I should mention, you probably, if you're paying attention to the bonding that was approved, at the last meeting, this is the first phase of what we figured to be 3 phases that the bond issue, the stormwater-related bond issue, was put in place for. So the number we got, was not only, well, it's a little bit higher than our final estimate, but it's a fair amount lower than the conservative number that I provided Mr. Reed a while back when he put together that bond issue amount.
I'd make a motion to approve the bid from Jerpy Contracting.
I'll second.
Motion by John, second by Mary to approve the contract to Jerpy Contracting. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We have resolution number, ordinance number 18-792, ordinance authorizing the sale of municipally owned land to Hutchinson Health. Waive first reading, set second reading and adoption for November 13th, 2018. Mr. Sabora.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. As you might recall, earlier this year, we completed the transaction between the City of Hutchinson and Hutchinson Health and Health Partners to renegotiate their lease, and as part of that transaction, it was agreed that 2 parcels of land that the City of Hutchinson still owned that were primarily used for hospital purposes would be conveyed to the hospital. Those 2 parcels are the thrift store property on Main Street, and then also there's what's referred to in the lease as the Regional I property on the corner of Echo and Fremont next to the hospital. So as I mentioned, we agreed that we'd be conveying that to Hutchinson Health. This is a proposal that will allow us to do that because under the city charter, any disposal of city-owned property has to be done by an ordinance. So that's why this ordinance is in front of you tonight for the first reading, so we can help complete the obligations we have under the new lease agreement.
Motion to approve.
A second.
Motion by Steve, second by Chad to approve. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Setting budget workshop for November 13th, 2018 at 4 p.m.
Mayor and council, this will be, most of the purpose of that will be to look at our enterprise funds. We'll also touch on kind of where the current budget is at as well.
Make a motion to set the meeting.
Second.
Motion by Chad, second by John to set the meeting for November 13th, 2018 at 4 p.m. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Setting council workshop for November 27th, 2018 at 4 p.m. to review State Truck Highway 15 downtown reconstruction project items.
Yes, this workshop, similar to the past workshop, I think we had made, we'll be just touching on a variety of topics. Hopefully, closing the loop on the streetscaping front to a large degree, and then also getting into construction staging. We want to touch on that. Maybe a little bit on the public arts front. You know, I've been working with Steve and that group, and that's starting to take shape. What's going to be hopefully recommended there, and yeah, that should be about it. We're still not there on the utility assessment front. I think we'll be getting into that shortly after the holidays. Right now, we're focusing on reviewing MnDOT's 60% plan submittal, and getting comments back to them. But that really, nothing's necessary as far as the plan review on council's, behalf. So we really want to touch on streetscaping, let you know where we're at, public arts, construction staging, and thereafter, MnDOT and their consultant will be diving into the final design effort, over the holidays and into the early winter months, and probably won't hear a whole lot from us or them for a few months, but then final design will be arrived at come spring with the 90% submittal in late March. So obviously we'll be re-engaged then. So with that, yeah, recommend having the workshop, touch base.
Make that a motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Steve, second by Chad to set that workshop. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Governance, we have minutes from Hutchinson Housing Redevelopment Authority Board minutes from September 18th, 2018. The City of Hutchinson Financial Report and Investment Report for September 2018. John, you have anything else for us tonight? Besides the leaf suckers are out?
They are indeed. That's just a reminder for folks to long, narrow rows works way better than piles. And then we're obviously with the winds that we've had this fall, there's quite a bit of sticks in there. So keep an eye on those. We did make today's route even with a little, so we're hopeful that we'll stay on schedule here. It's looking good, and so just remind folks again to long narrow rows work the best, and keep cars out of the way to the extent possible, and we'll be there the day after the garbage. We might be there before, but we will be there the day after the garbage. So.
My understanding is they worked late tonight?
We did not. We did not have to.
Okay.
No. Maybe because I got in there this afternoon and got us back on schedule. No.
And John, long, narrow rows are kind of difficult when the leaves are like this high.
Yeah, I understand. I was down your street.
You only have so much curb space.
I was down your street. You've done good. You've done well. There's a lot of leaves there. So.
When the neighbor's not looking, Mary.
Yeah.
They all got theirs out there too. I mean, they're pretty full.
How'd the mosquito spraying go this year?
I would say we had a very good year for the mosquito. We went over, we have the 6 that we do automatically, and then we have up to another 4 or 5 that we have on schedule. I think we ended up at 13 total for the year. So we did, towards the end of the season, be able to slow down and go every other week, as we approached the end of, into middle to the end of August. We had a really wet year again, and that tends to extend those. But budget-wise, we were within our budget for what we had expected, and so.
Can I ask another question
go
since
ahead.
John's here? The river fountain, what's the plan on that?
I did talk to the Resource Allocation Committee about that. So we're looking at a couple different options. One would be potentially a rebuilding of the existing one. Another might be a new or a different model. And then we've also started thinking maybe there's lighting that could be done down on the dam, on the river itself. That might be more of an attractant than the fountain perhaps. So there's a few options that are being tossed about and thought about. My hope is that we'll have a pretty solid answer here as we get into the early part of the winter.
There was some talk, if that's redeveloped, having a walk down there. So
Correct.
that's where maybe some of these other options might be worth looking at.
That's what really sparked that
Yeah.
concept is maybe there's some things we could do with light. And
Yeah.
because if we're going to have people walking around in there, they'll
Spray.
get wet all the time.
Yeah.
So
Well, and I think one of the things to say too, that needs to at least be, I think, acknowledged is that the water and the moving water is not necessarily conducive for the fountain. A lot of these fountains that you see in communities are something
In
that's not
ponds.
necessarily
Static.
Yeah.
ponds or something like that. And so that's, I think that's some of the concerns we've expressed with the resources. Yeah, we go out, we buy a brand new one, which isn't cheap, but then you spend the next 5 years constantly fixing it like we did
right.
with this one. So that's why we're looking at some different options there too.
I did have somebody last week ask me if it was all right to kayak over the dam, and I said I didn't think it was a good idea, but the water level was really high.
Perhaps that was the
being
one you
said,
saw.
I saw somebody do it over Water Carnival maybe like 5 years ago,
Yeah,
and it looked pretty smooth. It was Bill Corby's son did it,
Yes,
and I thought he was
remember
going to die. He did not. So I'm not encouraging that. I'm just saying I've seen it with my eyes, and it
I just
looked exciting.
reminded the person that somebody had not made it
Yeah.
walking on the rocks one time, so.
Right, thank you.
Thanks, John. Kent?
Yeah, quickly on the projects front, paving's underway on all three of the projects we have outstanding right now. So, hoping for a little bit of dry weather here. November is sneaking up on us pretty quickly, obviously. So, things don't cooperate in the next week or so, it might get real interesting. But we are making some headway the last week or so with the drier weather that we've had. So, hope for the best. And then otherwise, just want to touch base on one more item with respect to Highway 15 and Main Street, the downtown portion of the project. We had talked about having a business owner, property owner meeting, that we've had a couple of those now, to talk about streetscaping and other things directly related to the property owners down there. Per MnDOT and I guess having some conversations with myself and Mary Hudson at the chamber, I think we're gonna do a mailing to the property owners. We've had limited success with getting attendance at those meetings that we've had already. So I think there'll be a mailing going out really just to touch base where we're at, streetscaping wise, project development wise, and then provide a contact if a property owner has any questions, thoughts, opinions, I guess, at this point. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that before that'll probably most likely be distributed in the next week, give or take.
Any word on 212 at all? Any
212, no, I
progress?
actually ran into the Carver County engineer at a meeting last week, and he's been informed that process has slowed down on the federal level. So I think what's happening is there's politics coming into play, obviously, with which
Imagine
projects
that.
get selected nationwide. He was hoping by the end of the year. I don't think that's going to be a reality, it sounds like.
I did go on that tour and with Congressman Emmer, and, he seemed hopeful for that eastern piece. The western piece to Norwood needs a lot more money yet, so kind of a work in progress, but, that piece from Carver to Cologne, finishing that, he was hopeful. But no, like I said, as much as that goes with the federal government anyway. A lot of it's all ready to go. It's just a gap in funding. The environmental work is done and corridor is ready and.
It's basically designed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're ready to go. It's in essence shovel ready, I guess. You just need the $12 million from the feds at this point.
It's a big lottery tonight.
I did give a plug that we're one of only a few cities in a 5-state area, over 10,000 people that don't have direct access to a 4-lane highway, and he picked up on that and mentioned that when he talked, and then, talked to Senator Newman, who was there as well, kind of related to Hutchinson, so again, hopefully.
Yep.
That's it.
Thanks, Ken. Mr. Sabora?
I don't have anything else tonight.
Steve?
Two things. Probably saw a note, but in the USA Today, they had their annual 50 top cities, and Hutchinson came in at number 42, for the nation. So, this plug for us.
I was going to plug that to recognition event. Now you took away my thunder. So.
That's all right. We can we can
say
chant.
that
We're
a few
42.
times.
We're 40.
A couple other cities where New Ulm got mentioned, and Sartell and Albert Lee.
Albert Lee was 46 or something like that. Or was it Austin?
Nope, Albert Lee. Yeah. And then the last thing was the work on the trail, Loose Line Trail by the Winsted Airport has actually gotten started. So hopefully same deal if the weather cooperates. That's it.
Mr. Shimowski?
I have nothing left to say
Nothing?
today anyway.
Mary?
Well, we won't have a meeting, but before that time, it's get the vote out. Make sure you get out there and vote, because it's your civic duty and it's your right.
Matt's not gonna have anything to say. You guys keep taking his thunder away here. He's crossing off left and right.
That's it. And for John,
It's good to know you guys we're thinking on the same level. So.
We're up to date here.
and per John, thin rows, if you can.
Thin tall rolls.
Pick out the sticks.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
John?
Just Historical Society stuff. The McLeod County Historical Society building will be closed for at least the next 14 days while the windows are being installed. We're in the midst of this $460,000 HVAC window upgrade. So I think they have eight of the 43 windows in right now. They think they can do 4 a day. Now they're going to move on to the ones up high on the entrance. So if you go out there, the only way you'll be able to get in is the side door by the parking lot. And then on that same account, if anybody is a member of the society, the annual meeting is October 29th at 7 p.m. at the Legion in Silver Lake. And it's just snacks, hors d'oeuvres. It's not a full meal. So that's it.
Thanks, John. Mr. Yannick?
Couple of things. Obviously, just a reminder, recognition events this Thursday at 5:30. City offices will be closed Monday, November 12th for the Veterans Day holiday. And we have actually a couple of meetings coming up for those that are on the committee, but our next kind of committee meeting for the police department, that's 31st at 3:30. And then I think Ken sent something out for the TAP with that's November 7th at 2 o'clock. And then just a reminder that if you're interested in going to the regional meeting in Alex, that's November 15th, 16th. I think early bird deadline is by November 1st. So I know a couple of you expressed interest in going, and we're working on getting you signed up. But if anyone else is, just let me know. So, that's it.
What would like the penthouse this time?
With the penthouse this time? So, okay.
Or the outhouse.
I heard that.
Well, with Halloween coming up,
Pretty quick.
right around the corner,
You dressing up this year? Good job. Oh, sorry.
I don't usually have to. but, I know Lynn Hustler 4-H Club is having out at the
Fairgrounds.
fairgrounds. That's on Saturday, Melissa, right? Yep. Come on, Randy should have told you, right? I don't have a schedule. Oh, all right. I think it's on Saturday.
Yes.
And I know I'm happy this year I didn't get asked to go into the dunk tank because last year it was very, very chilly. It was very, very.
Outside?
No, it was
inside,
inside, but it was actually after it got dunked, it was warmer sitting up into the cold air than it was going into the water. So, yeah.
I can relate.
Yeah. So with that, just, like I said, Halloween's coming up, so watch the little chitlins when they're out trick or treating. With that, adjournment's in order.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion by Mary, second by Chad to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. We're adjourned.